we're going to make Xiao Yao San the original way. Xiao Yao San is a very famous recipe. If you don't know what it is, you can Google it. I'm not going to talk about the formula itself, but it is a san formula, which means it was originally made as a powder of ground up herbs, not some kind of modern granulated extract. And so I have the powder already done. It asks for a coarse powder. Other san formulas ask for a fine powder, but this one says a coarse powder, which means you grind it a bit and you don't sift it, and it's just kind of a mixed texture. You can probably see, maybe not, the light's a little bad, but you can see there's texture in there because it's not finely ground. The recipe calls for 2 qian of the powder. 1 qian, usually today people say, equals 3 grams, but when this formula was written, 1 qian was 3.73 grams, which makes a dose of 2 qian about 7.5 grams. The first time you do it, you probably should measure so you have an idea how much that is. But if you figure out, oh, that's about 1 tablespoon, you know, this is a standard tablespoon, then, so that says 8.4. I'm going to take a little bit back out, and now it's 7.7, a teeny bit more. And so, you know, something like that. It doesn't have to be precise. This is not a formula where you have to be really precise. So, you know, maybe a level tablespoonful, not a heaping one, would be the correct amount. Okay, so we're going to take that dose, and now in the future I don't have to weigh it. I just use kind of a level tablespoonful, and I'm going to put the dose in the pan where I'm going to boil it. The other ingredients of Xiaoyáo Sǎn that you add at the time of use are some ginger, fresh ginger. You can just slice some depending on how much you want. Probably 3 slices are enough. The recipe actually says a lump of roasted ginger, but mostly I try to do the powder, but I'm a little bit lazy, so I didn't roast the ginger. It also wants some mint, you know, fresh mint. Of course, the mint you get in the grocery store here in the US is not identical to Chinese bohe, but it's as close as we're going to get. You probably know mint isn't boiled, it's added at the end, so I'm not going to put that in now. And then you make 1 dose at a time. Well, you could make more, but the traditional way was to just make 1 dose at a time. It would be really quick if I wasn't talking. So, you know, I'm going to drink it in this cup later. And basically you want to take about the amount that you're going to drink plus a little, because you want to simmer it down some. And so you can just, you know, this is filtered water that I got from my filter, and I'm just adding that in. Now it's time for me to simmer it, so that will be the next step. Okay, I'm gonna simmer it now for a little while, so there we go. You know, you don't want to like make it boil wildly, but I am gonna simmer it. One of the things you might do is like notice how deep it is, because the recipe says to simmer it down to 70% of the original volume. So like I can see the line where it was, or with my spoon I can kind of try and remember, you know, that it went maybe 3/4 of an inch deep in this little pan. So I don't think you need to wait with me. You know, watched Xiaoyáo San never boils. So I'm gonna pause the video again. Okay, it's starting to simmer now. So I'll just let it simmer a little while. Maybe I need to turn the heat down some until it's evaporated a little bit. Okay, I think it's probably about 70% of how tall it was before. It's a little hard to see, but it's approximately that. So I'm going to call it done. Let's go strain it. Okay, it's time to pour it. We're going to put the mint in the bottom. Then I'm just going to put this in to strain it. Some of the powder will get through, but most of it will be retained. And let's put the dregs in, mostly. Okay. And then I can let it cool a little bit. I can let the mint, come out into the liquid. We can see before the water I had was about up to here, and now I don't know if that's 70%, 60% or what, but we've boiled it down some. And then we'll come back for a tasting in a minute. Okay, it's cooled a bit and the mint has had some time to, wilt and absorb into the liquid. So then let's take this out. And the water's, going to be somewhat cloudy, but it's not going to be a horrible texture. All the big stuff is, in. I don't think you could see without me making a mess on the table, but the dregs are inside this strainer thing. And I could pick the mint out if I wanted to, but no harm in leaving it. Let's see. Maybe you could see at the bottom there is some amount of dregs. So I might not drink the very last part, but there's no harm if you do. No harm at all. So let's see how this tastes. It's hot. It's really pretty strong. And actually, Xiao Yao San is a tasty recipe. It's one of the better recipes if you have to take it. You could almost drink it like a beverage. The directions say to take as needed. It's not actually a recipe in the original form. The recipe doesn't tell you to take it twice a day or 3 times a day. It tells you to take it as needed, which means, if you're stressed out and irritable and frustrated, then that's when you make yourself a cup of it. So this video is probably much longer than it would take for me to make it if I were not talking. But once you have the powder made, it's really pretty quick and convenient, and so you can just have it on hand. Okay, so I'm going to drink the rest of my Xiao Yao San and then I'm going to chill.